I want to welcome you tonight to my first of three webinar series on the keys to holistic health. So I want to say hello to my patients. Hello, everybody, and especially to our guests tonight. I appreciate everybody here. I'm going to try to work through this in about 1 hour, and then at the end we'll take some questions. If I'm anticipating we have some time. Um, so let me see what else I wanted to say. First of three series. Tonight we're going to talk about holistic health, and we're going to talk about structure. In the next week, we're going to talk about, you're going to learn about digestive system and nutrition. And the following week after that, we're going to have a discussion about mental emotional components, and we will have my takeaways at the end of that session as well. If you, as to remind you also that if you do all three seminars and you pass my very hard quiz, I'm winking. We'll give you a Karo buck. So you get one of these, and actually you get two of these. So you get one for your patients, and then one for you. I'm sorry, and then one for anyone that you want to refer in. So you get $20 worth of free care here. So I just want to let you know that. Okay, cool. All right. So what I'd like to do is I'd like to tell you a little bit about myself first, introduce myself because some of you may not know me. Again, my name is Dr. Mark Terabello, and I've been in practice now for going on 44 years. Okay, as time goes sometimes, you know. Um, so I want to tell you a little bit about myself too. So, what surprises some of my patients is that I wasn't really raised in a holistic family. I was raised in a very standard American family. We basically, when we had vegetables, we opened up a can of vegetables. Our lettuce was basically head lettuce, which mom would chop up in a big plop of lettuce, which we would put like lots of Thousand Island dressings on and things like that. Excuse me. And we had maybe about 3 glasses of milk a day. I was, to make sure I had my calcium. And my uncles were all medical doctors and pharmacists, and we didn't know much about holistic health. I mean, it was the early '60s. My big item was that I had allergies, and I would go to school especially during the spring and fall season, and I wasn't very comfortable. I mean, I had to make sure that every morning I had pockets full of Kleenex. And if I didn't have enough Kleenex, I would be panicking that I didn't have enough Kleenex. And basically, during spring and fall, no one wanted to sit around me too much because I would be coughing or sneezing. And if I ran out of Kleenex, well, anyways, you get the picture. And I didn't understand why I did, why I had this. Why is it that I had allergies? Why didn't Julie over there didn't, or Lori or Johnny? How come these people don't have allergies and I did? So I asked my medical doctor, I said, how come, what's happened here? How come I have allergies? And they really couldn't respond. They said, well, maybe you just have to move to, maybe you'll grow out of it someday, or, you have to move to Alaska or Arizona. We don't really know. But in the meantime, I was taking antihistamines at least a couple times a day for the most part. And I was having those side effects of antihistamines. It was tiring me out. In fact, when I went to pre-med at Wayne State, I still have some of my old organic chemistry papers, and you can see a line just drawn across it when I would like fall asleep in class. And so I would take no-dose to try to keep up. So, and then sometimes I would take too much no-dose. And I'd be panicking at the end because I'd be freaking out. The test wasn't done yet. And, and I'd have, anyways, it was a mess. Anyway, so one fateful day, my friend's brother was going to chiropractic school. And I was over at his house. And he said to me, he goes, maybe it has to do with, something going on in your neck. Maybe you have a misalignment or, what we call subluxation. Maybe there's something going on there that's causing this issue. I didn't know what he was talking about, but I sure would like someone give me some explanation. So I explored it. Visited some chiropractors in the area, and I said, okay, let's do this. So I went to college in Marietta, Georgia, at Life Chiropractic College, and I was pretty amazed. During my first few weeks there, people would raise their hands and share about what chiropractic did for them. This person's digestive system got better. This person's blood pressure went down. This person's migraines got better. Their dizziness got better. They had all these issues all their life, and all of a sudden it got adjusted and they were better. I was like, wow, why doesn't more of the world know about this? So I called my parents. I said, you should know about this. And they're like, oh, I think you've been brainwashed a little bit. I don't know. Okay. I talked to these people and they're talking. But anyways, so it was a fascinating journey. And so I got my chiropractic education. And what I noticed during my educational years down there, about 5 years in Marietta, was that when people wanted to be adjusted, when they wanted to be treated, they tended to try to find people that did this method called applied kinesiology, that did this muscle testing technique. I said, well, wow, what's this thing? So I explored it and I looked at the books, the technique books, and I was so drawn to it. I was like, wow, okay. I like this stuff. There's something about this that I really liked. And I started learning it. And it was time for me to graduate. And I had a choice of staying in Atlanta or coming back to Michigan. Came back to Michigan, family here, and I got a job up here as well. And I worked. And one of the best things about being up here is Dr. Goodhart, who's the founder of AK or Applied Kinesiology, was up here. So I was able to learn from him as well. And got a job working here. I used to work over in Greenfield at 9.5 Mile Road, near the Americana Theaters, no longer there. Worked down Southfield Road and back here in Southfield. Okay, so that's a little bit about me. I think other people have joined in, so welcome to everybody. So we're going to settle in now and with your popcorn and cold beverage, and we'll pray that I get all of this right. Okay, okay, so. Okay, hopefully it work on. Okay. All right. So I have not done this before, so you excuse me if I get anything wrong here. But so far, my helper in the other room has not come in screaming, so I think we're okay. All right. Thank you. All right. So the title of this the webinar we talk about tonight is a three keys to good health. And how to live healthy in an unhealthy world. Um, and that's the issue here. And the issue is that we don't live in an unhealthy world. And we have a lot of stress in our world. And because of the stress that we have in the world and people not knowing how to take care of themselves in a more, what shall we say, holistic way, we have, what we have more now of an epidemic in our world. The epidemic shows that 80% of population will suffer from some type of cancer, heart disease, diabetes, pain, or other chronic disease. So if you take that in perspective, if you take 10 people, you got 8 out of 10 people as you get older are going to have some type of disease label. That's what the world's going to. That's what this medical system is leading toward. Now, I'm not saying that everybody in this that does this work is doing, somersaults and is totally pain-free. And I'm not saying that everybody that does this work is doesn't take any pharmaceutical meds. But I will say that people that include this work with allopathic approach are healthier people than people that don't. And we can see the disease stats as well. I mean, we pay more for more in healthcare than other countries do, but we're living less. So, it really doesn't make sense. So, the question that then we got posed to you is that, well, what are you going to do about that? I mean, these are the stats. You want to keep doing the same thing as the 80%, or do you want to move on to something that, do something different. So, that's your choice. But to me, it certainly makes a sense that we got to do something different because, hey, we can all see what's going on around us, right? So there is, we could see that um, um, people around us are not as healthy as they used to be, and that people are taking too many drugs, and we're not getting any healthier. So, let's take a look at some of the definitions of health. So, just to be clear, what the definitions of health is. So, this is taken from Dorland's Medical Dictionary and from Webster's. Health is a delicate balance affected by every aspect of our lives. A delicate balance affected by every aspect of our lives, meaning what's delicate? Well, our health can be fragile. It depends how you take care of it. It's the balance. The focus must be steady and can ebb and flow between certain parameters. I mean, you don't have to be let's say, not vegetarian's not for everybody, but you don't have, you can do a little bit outside the realms every once in a while. But if you live outside those certain parameters, then you might be affecting your health. It's delicate. You have to be within that ebb and flow. Affected by every aspect of our lives, the degree you take care of your physical body, the degree you choose nourishing food, and the degree you use your brain and your thought processes to see yourself healthy and well. Definition two, a state of optimal physical and mental well-being and social well-being, not merely the absence of disease. So what does that say? That says that symptoms are not playing a role here. Doesn't hinge on symptoms. Definition three, a natural state of wellness inherent to the body, a self-generating, regulating ability. So essentially, what we're saying here then is that the body is a self-healing organism, and we know that, but we forget that because we take it for granted because we live in so long in these bodies. But if you break it down and think about it, you cut yourself. How many Piper cuts have you had on your hands? Bruises, fractures, even. It's a wonderful thing that our body knows what to do. There's a certain like innate intelligence that's in your body that knows what to do. There's nothing you need to do. It's fibrinogen, vitamin K. It's a whole chemical thing that goes into play to be able to heal that. How about fever mechanism? You don't have to do anything. The body knows what to do. You don't have to pull your earlobe to raise your temperature, or pull the other one to bring it down. And we have that whole scenario of white blood cells, going attacking all this army thing. And your body knows what to do. Hormones, female hormones, lots of them up and down all around. And not even just having to do with females, but men too, cortisol, melatonin. Body knows what to do to keep that. And there's like what we call feedback loops to be able to keep that within certain parameters. Your hair growth is dead cells that your body, excuse me, grows off, dead cells, and you grow new cells in your fingernails as well. So we see evidence every time of the body as a self-healing organism. And then we see, okay, well, if the body's a self-healing organism, then why is there so much illness and pain? Well, the answer is stress, not living in the balance within those parameters of giving the body what it needs to do what it do, to do what it does best, which is produce health and wellness for you. The body does its best to try to adapt to your stress, but after a while, if you live outside those bounds, the body will produce a symptom. After a while, the body will produce a symptom to alert you that something is wrong, that there's a dis-ease or an imbalance in the system. And it's not just stress emotionally, it's stress to your physical body, it's stress to you getting good nutrition from a food that is not nutrient dense. And most of the average American takes 6 different drugs a day. That's sucking up nutrients as well. Any medicine does as well. And that's precisely why you need medicine, because you probably don't have the nutrients in your body. And because of the stress, because you're not giving your body what it needs, the body's ability to protect you is compromised. And that's why holistic health and my work emphasizes shifting it to a more prevention approach. Even if you feel healthy and well, still be checked to make sure everything is still going okay, versus a symptomatic approach. Because as you can see, the symptomatic approach just isn't working given the statistics. So what are symptoms? What are symptoms? Symptom is your body way of telling you that something is wrong. It can be a means to monitor your body so you know if you might be lifting something or sitting improperly before it's too late. Or perhaps you might be eating something that doesn't agree with you. But we operate under the assumption that when we're feeling good with no symptoms, that we are truly healthy and all is well. And that's not necessarily so. And that's the difference between allopathic and holistic. So I guarantee you that those 80% of the population that have cancer, heart disease, diabetes, Alzheimer's, dementia, or perhaps pain did not get to that point overnight. It took months and more toward years of not giving the body the resources it needed to stay well. And the failures are evident with evaluating your evaluating your health based on symptoms are shown by the epidemic of these diseases that I just showed you, that we've all noticed in our society and our relationships. For that reason, symptoms are a indicator that something is wrong. They're not the indicator. They're the indicator if you bang your thumb with a hammer or if you touch a hot stove, you'll experience an immediate symptom. That's a good thing. So you move your hand before it's too late. But to protect your most important asset, it is not. So if you're serious about protecting yourself from pain and illness, it's important to live your life in a holistic mode. That's understanding that no one cares about you more than you should care about yourself. Therefore, you should take an interest in your own health and well-being. And that's great. It's wonderful to be pain-free and healthy, but it does not necessarily mean that all is well. And we need to do all we can to stay well in a world that's not conducive for good health. Understanding the holistic approach is that the body was made to be healthy, well, and vibrant, but you have to give the body the resources it needs to handle the stress you have in your life. Otherwise, you can get sick or be in pain. Chronic health issues are not distinct entities with unique causes, but manifestations of disharmony and imbalance. It's the result of disharmony between the sick person and the environment rather than the product of specific diseases. So, Leo Galland, who's a well-known MD in holistic circles, has the following quote, and it's one of my favorite quotes. I'd like to share it with you. He said, "Disease is a dynamic event in the life of an individual determined by disharmonies, imbalances, and pernicious influences. The goal of diagnosis is not to identify the disease entity, which is no independent reality, but to characterize the disharmonies of the particular case so that they can be corrected. So that's why often no two people with the same diagnosis respond to medical and holistic treatment in the same way. So, for example, fibromyalgia. Okay, what is that? Is it a digestive issue? Is it a structural issue? Is it a mental emotional issue? But blood pressure. The person needs more magnesium. Is there a misalignment in the spine? Is a cranial pump not proper? Asthma, more magnesium, spinal misalignment. And that's why medicine doesn't always have one med for one thing too. You have to go, well, try this med, try that med. What NSAID works best for you? It's not a silver road. It's not the golden road, but because everybody is different. And with the holistic approach, the focus is on the body that has the disease rather than the disease that has the body. It's good to have a diagnosis. It's good to know. Sometimes people walk in with it on their heads. They're like, I have this, I have that. And it does lead me to a certain area of where to look, but it's not what I'm not looking to treat that label. That's what a medical doctor does. My teacher, Dr. Goodhart, says, used to impress upon us, treat the body that has the disease rather than the disease that has the body. We want to look at the body's natural healing ability, and we ask the question, why is that? Why is it that this person is feeling this way? The body should be healthy, well, and vibrant. Where's the dis-ease? Where's the imbalances, yeah, in the body, in the person's body? So we're not diagnostic labels. So you're a human being with an imbalance somewhere structurally, chemically, or mentally, and your body is producing a symptom to alert you that something is wrong. It's not the cause, it's the fire, it is the fire alarm, it's not the fire. Medicine turns off fire alarms. It takes away the symptom. The reason why a person has disease or pain is still there. The focus on the medical physician is on that disease label. And essentially, it's not healthcare, it's really sick care. They're fixing labels. They try to find as much criteria as they can to put somebody into that box. They give them the medicine. But every medicine has a side effect to it, including deleting your valuable nutrients. They're the essence of what you need to stay well. They mask the difficulty. They don't eliminate it. They contaminate the environment because it's usually it's a toxic because it has it's chemical and it creates dependence. So I will say there's a time and a place for medicine. I'm not saying that, but it should never be. I don't think it shouldn't be the first choice. It should be one of the last choices that a person has. FDA approved drugs also are the fourth leading cause of death in the United States. So this is called the triad of health, and this is what we look at when a person comes in to assess. We look at these three aspects in a holistic mode, and and we want to see where the imbalances are, either in the structure, chemical, or their mental, emotional components. And the way that I work with this is through a method called applied kinesiology. So, applied kinesiology, I'm a chiropractic physician, holistic physician, and applied kinesiologist. And upon graduating college in 1981, as I mentioned, I started learning with Dr. Goodhart, who practiced here in the Michigan Building in downtown Detroit, and later in Grosse Pointe on Mack Avenue. What we use in AK or applied kinesiology is we use muscle testing as a means to access the body to assess body function. So we access the body through the use of muscle testing to get into the system to see where the disease is, where the imbalances is. It helps to monitor the body, the three aspects of health, to put out the fire before it becomes a symptom. And it's a means to find out why the body should be producing health instead of producing the alarm signal. So we ask the question, why is that? Where is the disease? We want to diagnose the need. We want to supply the need, and then we observe the result. And if we do that right, hit the nail on the head, then the person becomes the symptom falls away. The person as well. Oh, who's this? Okay. All right, that young dapper guy on the right is me many years ago when I first graduated from school, and standing next to me there is Dr. Goodhart, and I belonged to a group called SANT, which was Society for Advancement of Natural Teachings, and I had the honor of delivering to Dr. Goodhart an award that we bestowed upon him in that picture there. Okay. So this is the logo of Applied Kinesiology, and you might see this on my lapel that I wear on my white clinic jacket. So you see that it's an equilateral triangle, and what we call these little sort of planetary things around there are what we supply to the individual to be able to restore balance in the person's structure, chemical, or mental emotional components. So I'm going to go into very briefly each of these, but I'll explain to you what each of them is before I go into them even more briefly. Okay. All right. So the end at front on top is the nervous system. Before I do that, I just want to say you notice that it's equilateral. So, some people it's a little bit more structural issue, so it's not, some people more chemical, mental, but rarely do I find just one aspect. Usually it's one and, as a primary, and then there's issues with another one that's also contributing some way to that symptom. Okay. So the N is nervous system. That's having good nerve flow from the brain through the spine and out all areas of the body. Healthy spine, healthy nervous system. NL means neurolymphatic. That's your body's lymph system. NV means neurovascular. That produces more nerve flow through the body, or more vascular flow through the body, excuse me. CSF is craniosacral fluid. That's the motion of the skull, the craniosacral pump. And AMC is acupuncture points. So I apologize. I'll try to hopefully you can see this a little bit enlarged. These are some of the reflexes. So for my patients, this is eye-opening for them too, because sometimes they wonder why I'm rubbing or holding certain points. But these dots are called neurolymphatic points. And on the bottom here, which is even probably rougher for you to see, there's a relationship between muscles and organs and glands. So sometimes a muscle can be weak because there's an injury to the muscle itself. And sometimes the muscle can be weak because of the relationship to an organ or gland. So knowing my training, I can discern which path to go to. If it has to do, so for example, the quadricep muscle relates to your small intestine. The deltoid muscle relates to your lungs. So what I do is that I stimulate those areas by massaging them, and that helps to get the lymphatic system to move better through the body. This is another showing of the reflexes that exist on the body. And this is areas that I'm rubbing in the front or on the back, and also the muscles that relate to it. These are lymphatic areas. These are areas that when I hold a point on your head, sometimes my patients may notice that I'm touching around their jaw. Well, you can see their neck flexors. So these are called Bennett reflexes, and these was developed by a chiropractor in the 30s. The lymphatic ones was called Bennett were Chapman reflexes. They're osteopathic reflexes, and these one we just hold on the head. And there's different ones you can see here in the front, relating to different muscles, stimulating different organs and glands through the body. And the person starts to feel better with those different areas, and then um, we could also access, oh, here we go, acupuncture points as well, and be able to stimulate them, not so much by needles, but we tap those areas um, when we have to, when we find that to be some issues. Okay. Right. Whoops. Structure. Okay. All right. So let's talk about structure. Let's get into that and talk about structure. And like I said, next week we're going to talk more about chemicals and then mental in the following week. So structure. To stay pain-free, you need to take care of your physical body. How do you do this? Well, you need to move, and it's getting a lot of emphasis these days. A lot of people are having standing desks, and a lot of people are hearing that saying that's going around: sitting is the new smoking. The reason why with movement it's important because movement lubes your joints, and your lymph system can then do its job by moving waste and toxins out of your body, and your brain gets stimulated and stays healthy. So you got to move, and there's so many different ways of movement. Um, Walking is really one of the best exercises. It's really you can join a gym. Sometimes they don't cost too much. There's for people that are in the older are Medicare. There's silver sneakers. There's things you could do at home online. We have two wonderful exercise specialists that are affiliated with our office, or U of M grads, that can assist you with weight loss and movement. But if you don't use it, you lose it. And so it's really important, even though you might feel a little lazy, you might feel a little sore, you got to do it. You got to move. So I'm a big proponent of stretching every morning when you get up. So you have to understand that when you're sleeping, your body, most people are not moving too much. Okay. So for 7 or some hours, you are basically laying there. So to jump out of bed, run in the car, especially run to the car, especially in a cold morning, and especially if you do some physical work or even just sitting in an office chair, your body needs to warm up. I don't ask you to do any more than I do. So, because I like to sleep in, I'm not going to wake up an hour before to stretch and exercise. But take a few minutes, maybe 5 to 10 minutes, just lay preferably on the floor. Or if you can't get on the floor, stay in your bed. After your shower, do some knee chest stretches, do some pelvic tilts, arm over the head, some planks, just something to be able to get your body moving in a good sort of way, or some yoga poses. And if you have pets, the pets will come around too. My pet actually joins me on the floor and does his cat stretches when I'm doing mine. Okay. So be careful how you lift. Remember to engage your core. So pretend that there's a string attached from your belly button to your lower back. Pull that. So engage your abdominal muscles. Always make sure that what you're lifting is in front of you. Never twist and lift something. So you're packing, or if you have a little child or pet and you got to pick something, always do the best you can to make sure that that pet or whoever is in front of you. to be able to, to lift. That when you twist and lift, that puts the spine at the weakest link, and you don't want to do that. Your spine is your backbone. It's the connective link structurally and neurologically to the whole body. It's the most important part of your body because it houses the nervous system, and the nervous system powers your body. And that's a focus on the chiropractor to keep you pain-free and healthy. And all other body work needs to be important too. And massage work as well. And this keeps you away from sick care or body pain, and keeps you pain free. It's interesting that Hippocrates, who's the father of modern medicine way back then, actually said, "Look to the spine for the cause of disease." That's the father of modern medicine. Right away said, spine's important, but somehow that got a little bit lost. So why is the spine so important? The spine's important because it houses the nervous system, and the nervous system powers the body. The spine itself includes there's 24 movable segments. It's supported by ligaments and musculature. And in between the bones are sponges that are called discs, and they separate the bones so that the nerves can send messages and receive messages without getting pinched. These segments move. They give us the movement that we enjoy in life. But just like you can sprain your wrist, you can sprain your knee, you can sprain your ankle, you can sprain your spine. They're joints. But the difference is that there's nerve roots there. And therefore it can start causing more radiating pain or shooting pain down a leg or an extremity or numbness, or it can cause some type of other issue, maybe asthma or digestion or vertigo, in your body. So, and it's an inflammatory process. And inflammation's always a bad boy in the system, and we'll learn more about about that next week. But this is what chiropractors do, is that our role is to find and release what we call vertebral subluxation. Those are spinal misalignments with nerve pressure. Just like dentists look for cavities and fill cavities, they do more than that, but that's what we think of dentists doing. Chiropractors, we look to see where the spinal misalignments, with nerve pressure is. One of the important part of the spine is the disc. So the disc, we want to save the disc, just like the dentist want to save the tooth. So it's again the discs are sponge-like material. It separates the bone, and and generally, if a person has a disc injury, we see them a little bit more intensively, and to make sure the disc gets healed, because if left uncorrected, the disc can start to thin and degenerate like tooth decay. And sometimes you can start getting radicular pain down the arms or numbness down the arms and fingers. So we want to save the disc, and we don't want the disc to get worse. I mean, it could rupture, it can, herniate, and then it can be a surgery situation. But we want to make sure that where the treatment's a little bit more intensive, at that stage. So you need to understand also, that drugs don't move bones. They don't address the reasons why. And when you take NSAIDs, non-steroidal medications, or other things, you're turning off the alarm signal. You're addressing the fire alarm, but you're not putting out the fire. The anti-inflammatory med will bring down the swelling, but the reason can be still there in the system. And therefore the drug may have some limited value. You need to fix the reasons why. Now you can take a med if you understand this. If you understand, why suffer. You don't need to hear the fire alarm when you understand about the fire, but you need to understand what the long-term use of non-steroidal meds, Motrin, and the other meds that are anti-inflammatory can result in thinning of the intestinal lining, and can therefore result in another problem. So, we all get arthritis as we age, and none of us want to be hampered with reduced range of motion and stiffness as we get older. And you can lessen the progression of arthritis if you keep your body balanced, if you keep these bones in place. If you have a disc injury left uncorrected, that disc can start to thin and degenerate, and then you can start getting worse symptoms, and then you can set yourself up for surgeries. Bone out of position can result in more wear and tear, you can tear in the joint, and again, more arthritis. So the key is to keep moving, stretch and exercise, and have regular care to your body to keep it pain free. There are other reasons here for pain. Let's disc injuries. We talked about already. Joint sprains. Joint sprains is you can sprain your ankle, you can sprain your elbow, tennis elbow, golfer's elbow. Jaw joints can sprain. So what we want to do is we want to mobilize the joint back into the position. Generally, we use a little ice packing on that. But when you have joints out of position, then the muscles that attach to the injured area will also be weak. So we want to address the joint sprains in the body, in the ankle, and the whole body to restore the proper balance. Muscle strains is a microavulsion from the origin insertion. So muscle strains are like a pulled muscle. You pull a muscle in your lower back, or any place. So what happens then is that where the muscle comes from or goes to, they're like threads. Goes from an origin into an insertion, and sometimes the threads come up. And what I do then is in finding that technique is that I put pressure on where the muscle comes from and goes to, and tuck the thread back into where the muscle goes to. It can be caused by improper motion or trauma. We find it by testing the muscles using AK or applied kinesiology. And again, we tuck the muscle back into the joint. Another reason for pain is, in the structure, is fascia. Fascia is a sheath over the muscle. Fascia sheath, and what we do is that we iron it out. This is what massage therapists do, is that they smooth out the muscles and to get some of the trigger points out of it. We use kinesiology to find it, and generally we say you need to stretch more, and so it becomes massage therapy. In that case, then we would recommend to use more moist heat to stretch, exercise, and massage. The last thing that we work with as well is TMJ in the craniosacral system. Jaw is a very important part of your body. There's thousands of neuroreceptors that are in the jaw that influence the rest of the body. And you really can't fix the neck without fixing the rest of the body. So we want to make sure that the jaw is in the proper hinge and that we can balance what's on the pterygoid muscle. That's where my patients know. I take a gloved finger and it goes in the mouth, and we try to get some of the soreness out of that muscle, and then we can work on some of the muscles that are around the joints itself. This could take care of headaches and neck pain. This is a closed compartment here. So if you can't fix the neck without fixing the jaw, so you have to look at the whole TMJ and what's known as the craniosacral motion. So what is that? The skull moves 6 to 12 times a minute. You don't see it move, but it's a slow pumping action of cerebral spinal fluid that circulates through the brain and down the cord. Sometimes if you hit your head, if you fall on your butt, if you're grinding your teeth or bruxing, it can start knocking that motion off. We want to get the bones of the skull moving in a nice sort of way. These are where the cranial nerves go to nerves into your shoulders, your head, and specifically the vagus nerve, very important nerve root that helps with parasympathetic calming aspects of the body. It helps a lot with headaches, and also as the skull moves, it massages the pituitary gland, which secretes hormones, which drives the thyroid. So it helps the hormonal access as well. Okay. I'm going to see if I can switch back to me. Um, if I can. Oh, I am already on me, probably, I hope at least. Okay. So this includes session one of our series. You're going to have to excuse me here because I am not really great with this. And I have an assistant here to help me. And we have time maybe for a couple questions. We can see if we could do this. Ah, okay, that looks a little better. Thank you. Um, I think there's a chat room here. Um, if someone wants to, hopefully this works. You can type your questions in here. You could do so now. And I have time for a couple more questions. So next week we're going to get into another reason for pain, another important part of our body, yeah, and that's your digestive system. How one should eat and why about nutritional supplements. And we're going to look for my email. That'll be out in your mailbox this weekend, or by this weekend. Um, and remember also when you attend all three of my series I'm going to give you a little quiz at the end. Okay. You'll receive two Caro bucks worth $10 each, one for you and one for you to give as a gift to someone you know who could benefit from this work. Okay. So I'm not sure if this is working. Does anybody have a question? You can type it in. Otherwise, I'm going to apologize because this is not something that I do every day. Okay. Type if you have a question. I'll give you just a moment. I'm hoping this is working right. Okay. Okay. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay. All right. All right. So I appreciate everyone being here tonight. I hope to God this worked well. Next week, we're going to talk about digestive system and chemistry, and how that plays a role. Um, and thank you, Regina. I appreciate your comment, and it's good to see that someone can type in here. I'm not always real good at these PowerPoints here, and just a little nervous for the first night. We're going to do this about for next week and the following week. I appreciate everybody here for this evening. Um, okay, I guess that is it. No questions. Okay, okay, very good. Okay, always. Oh, thank you. Okay, thank you, Barbara. Hey, okay, good. I'm glad people are typing in here, because that way I am grateful. Oh, thank. There's my friend, Lori. Thank you. Of course, Lori has to say something. I appreciate that too. All right, well, good. Well, I'm grateful that this is working and people can see this. I'm grateful to everyone that helped me with this as well. And we'll see you next week. Thank you so much for staying up with me. God bless.